how do you get motivated? Well, one way to do that is if you are good at subjectively attaching dopamine to the pursuit, just knowing, okay, I really am hungry for this. I'm going to tell myself that, making it 1% of the way is a success, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep ratcheting on. And then the other aspect of it is that anytime that we're leaning into action, it has the possibility of being an amplifying process or a depleting process. And the key to that is making sure that you're balancing the dopamine and epinephrine systems. We have to remember that this mechanism of dopamine and pathfinding to goals is in every animal, humans, dogs, sheep. So a grazing animal might be on a really barren landscape. They go some direction and they don't smell water, which animals can do. And so they veer off course, and then all of a sudden they get a little bit of scent of water. At that point, that's when the dopamine is released, not when they get the water and drink from it. So that puts them in energy to get there. You think about walking in the desert and you're just dying of thirst, and all of a sudden you spot a big lake. All of a sudden, you will have the energy to run the remaining mile. Whereas before you thought you were going to die. How is that? It's not like more glycogen is suddenly available. It's not like ketones did it for you. So what did it? That's dopamine. That's dopamine release that says there's a reward waiting for me. And I would say finally in 2020, we finally as a field got a clear idea of how dopamine is really working. If you can start to register, that craving and that friction and that desire, that almost kind of low level of agitation, sometimes high level of agitation, that is that I'm trying to impose my will on the world in a benevolent way, we hope. That's dopamine. It's working with its close cousin, which is epinephrine, which is adrenaline. They are very close cousins. In fact, dopamine manufactures epinephrine. A lot of people don't know this, but adrenaline is actually made from the molecule dopamine. Okay, so those two are hanging out together. It's like crave and work, crave and work. And then you get the win. And some people allow the big peak in dopamine to be associated with the win. And smart people learn to adjust their celebration internally, right? This is all internal. You could throw the biggest party in the world, but as long as you're kind of laid back and looking at this, not letting yourself get manic crazy, you won't necessarily crash as hard, and pretty soon your system will reset. So you take the day, you clean up the dishes, you relax, you go, what now? I'm feeling a little low. Well, rather than going out and spiking your dopamine again, just wait. Understand that the scale will reset again. Give yourself a few days where you're going to feel a little kind of underwhelmed. Things aren't going to be as interesting. It's going to be hard to trigger that big release because you just had the peak. Well, if you adjust that, you relax, you understand there's always a little bit of a postpartum depression. We sometimes hear about postpartum depression. That's a clinical thing, but there's always that kind of, today's not as exciting as the previous days. What am I going to do with my life? But then if you let it start ratcheting up again, then what you realize is your capacity to tap into dopamine as a motivator, not just seeking dopamine rewards, that is infinite. And I can say with great certainty that this is how you were able to build a big company and sell it, how you've been able to build a successful podcast and sell it, how you're constantly seeking, because seeking is the reward. And I think for most people, we think of the reward as the finish line. And so the key is to get to the finish line, step into the end zone, but no end zone dance. It's just like, yep, and now I'm going to go do it again.
Hello everyone, and welcome to today's discussion on the intricacies of motivation and the role of dopamine in shaping our actions and mindset. In this enlightening conversation, we explore the dynamics of motivation, the balance between effort and reward, and the significance of subjective experiences in cultivating a mindset that fosters continuous growth. Let's dive into the insights shared on how to operate our minds and bodies effectively. In our culture, there's a lack of emphasis on teaching individuals how to navigate their mental and physical machinery. The discussion begins with the fundamental question: how do we get motivated? Dr. Andrew Huberman suggests one approach is to subjectively attach dopamine to the pursuit, recognizing and fueling the hunger for a goal. The importance of subjective attachment to dopamine is emphasized, wherein individuals consciously acknowledge their cravings and desires. By telling oneself that even making a 1% progress is a success, Dr. Andrew Huberman encourages a positive framing of the pursuit, setting the stage for continuous effort. The conversation delves into the role of dopamine in animals, illustrating the pathfinding mechanism to goals. The relationship between dopamine and its close cousin, epinephrine, adrenaline, is explored. Dr. Andrew Huberman highlights the need to balance these systems, ensuring that leaning into action becomes an amplifying rather than a depleting process. An insightful analogy involving animals seeking water in a barren landscape is introduced. The dopamine release occurs not when the goal is achieved, but when the anticipation of the reward is present. This anticipation provides the necessary energy to overcome obstacles and reach the goal. The discussion progresses to recent advancements in understanding dopamine, noting that 2020 brought clarity to how dopamine truly works. Recognizing the craving, friction, and desire as signals of dopamine at play, Dr. Andrew Huberman sheds light on the internal workings of the motivation system. After achieving a goal or experiencing a dopamine peak, Dr. Andrew Huberman advises on managing the aftermath. Rather than immediately seeking another high, it's crucial to allow the system to reset. Acknowledging the postpartum-like phase and understanding that the excitement may wane temporarily is key to maintaining a healthy balance. Dr. Andrew Huberman speaks on how one's worldview shapes the release of dopamine. Positive thoughts, if honest and realistic, can provide a lift. Dopamine puts individuals in a mental state where the outside world seems full of possibilities, fueling forward momentum. Dr. Andrew Huberman unfolds the importance of habit formation. Mental horizons is explored. Completing small tasks and moving the mental horizon closer create a sense of accomplishment. It's emphasized that it's not about the finish line but about the belief that training and effort will lead to success. Addressing the subjectivity of positive thinking, Dr. Andrew Huberman encourages individuals to find what personally allows them to remain in forward momentum. Positive internal representations of effort and progress are seen as vital components of sustaining motivation. A critical aspect highlighted is the role of self-reward in maintaining motivation. Rather than solely relying on external rewards, individuals are urged to bask in the feeling of accomplishment and attach it to the effort process that led to success. This, Dr. Andrew Huberman concludes, is the key to maintaining control over the dopamine system. Mastering motivation involves a subjective understanding of one's cravings, a balance between effort and reward, and a conscious effort to reshape perspectives. As we navigate the intricate pathways of our minds and bodies, let us remember that the journey is as important as the destination, and the ability to tap into dopamine as a motivator is indeed infinite. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of dopamine, motivation, and the profound insights shared in today's discussion. May your pursuit of goals be fueled by a healthy balance of effort, reward, and a mindset that fosters continuous growth.